We are live. We are live once again. What's going on, everybody? Before I get into the topic, I just want to make sure that I have everything working here on Facebook, on YouTube. I love this platform. Get Vocal. You're doing your thing, guys. This is an amazing setup where I can live broadcast in one place and it'll send it off to a couple of places. I appreciate this. Thank you so much. Thank you, Get Vocal, for allowing me to have this platform and to share my platform with multiple streams. Green tea today. My throat is not doing too well. I'm losing my voice. Man, this glasses. The mug is hot. But the good thing is half my lip is numb, so I can't feel it if I burn myself. That's also a bad thing, too. So if you can hear me, just let me know you can hear me. I want to make sure that I'm clear. All right. Today, we're going to be getting into a couple of things. First off, let me introduce myself. My name is Dre. I am a teacher by day, and I guess you consider it like a marriage support by night. Some may say it's a coach. Some may say it's a marriage counselor. I'm like that friend that you can talk to help hash out some problems in your relationship. I don't have all the answers. I don't pretend to have all the answers. Some people come on social media and they are love gurus and all that stuff. I don't consider myself that. I consider myself a student of people, a lover of people. And in most cases, when people come to see a counselor or come see me, they already know what the problem is. Sometimes, my sister just texted me. She's watching too. She said her throat hurts also. Yeah, it's really bad, and I got to go back to work tomorrow. But as I was saying, most people already know what the problem is. They just need some guidance in not only identifying it, or if they already know it, just how to solve it and how to get over it. Like that friend that's going to be in your corner to help you through certain things. So I don't pretend to have all the answers. I don't have all the answers. And I have to answer this. I'm so sorry. My son is supposed to be here at 9 o'clock, and he wants to get here at 9:30. Hi, son. I know you asked for 10. I told you 9, and 9 is being gracious because it's a school night. All right. I love you. Bye. So my boy wants to stay out until 10 o'clock. I told him he can have until 9. And then he tells me, can I have until 9:30? 9 o'clock is good because it's a school night. So that's me in my dad mode. I'm sorry you guys had to see that. All right. So back to this. Okay. So yeah, this is what I do. I like to help people out, be a support for people. We all need that. We all need that somebody in our corner that will love us unconditionally, pass no judgments, but still tell us what we need to hear. And that's how I am with the people in my life. That's how I appreciate people that are in my life. If they behave that way with me, tell me the truth, and vice versa. I'll tell you the truth also, because that's how we build. That's how we become stronger. Okay. So right now you're listening to what's called Rap with Dre in the Two-Getherness podcast. Now I have this, you could call it a ministry or a service to people. It's to help encourage marriages, and it's called Two-Getherness Marriage Coaching. I have a website too. You can visit it at www.togethernesscoaching.com. Now, Two-Getherness is spelled TWO, Getherness. So it's two coming together. So that's why we call it Two-Getherness. So this is sort of like a podcast. You can watch this live like you're doing right now, or you can listen to our podcast that's available on Spotify and other podcast formats, Google Play, iTunes, things like that. And I also I'm very bad at this. If you're watching through YouTube, please go to my YouTube channel, subscribe. Also, a couple of things that I offer and Two-Getherness coaching offers. We do marriage, wedding season's approaching very fast. And what I do is I perform what's called a premarital coaching series. It's just four sessions of premarital coaching. And the reason why we do this is because pre-marriage counseling helps reduce the risk of divorce by 30%, and 50% of all marriages end in divorce. I am a part of that negative statistic myself. So I know that when people get married, they don't get married hoping to get a divorce or eventually getting a divorce. Usually when people choose to get married, they get married because they want to commit to a lifelong relationship. And sometimes we go into it unprepared. Now, even marriage counseling isn't the answer to divorce. People can still get divorced, but at least you go in to the marriage relationship knowing a little bit more about your spouse, knowing a little bit more about yourself, and coming together with a plan to develop a life together. So if you guys want, you can go to my website, togethernesscoaching.com, to get more information on that. And those of us who are married and they just need a marriage tune-up, I have a marriage enrichment program that's 8 weeks. You can go inside my website, Togetherness Coaching, to find out a little bit more about that as well. Now that that's out the way, today I wanted to talk to you guys about 5 things that will help you transform your marriage starting today. It's the new year. It is January 1st, 2019. Wow, like we made it till 2019. Like, dang. See, I was born in the 70s, like the late 70s, like the last 15, 30, the last 20 days, 21 days in the 70s. My birthday is December 10th. So I was born in 79. So although people may say you're not really a 70s baby, I was born in 79. So I was doing the math, right? I successfully lived through the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, and I lived in 5 decades. Your boy's only 39, so do the math. It's kind of funny how that works. But it's a new year, and many of us may have established New Year's resolutions. Some of us may have New Year's resolutions to help better our relationships and our marriages. So hopefully today's podcast, today's vlog, would help you guys out. Marriage Lifestyle, Springfield, Massachusetts. We in here. What's going on, brother Kevin? What's going on? And I'm following everything that you're doing, for real. Like, I love what you guys are doing in Massachusetts. The fatherhood movement. I've been following you guys for years. So thank you guys so much for watching. So a couple of things I just want to give you guys. Now, again, this is not like exhaustive. This is not the answer. This will help you, in the right direction. I don't pretend to have all the answers. I don't pretend to be a love guru. I don't pretend that if you give me a half an hour, I will answer all your questions and promise a happy marriage. If you give me the time, I will promise that I can point you in the right direction, and together we can get there with hard work and dedication. But not one person have all the answers. And I don't pretend to do that. Like, this is more like let's work together to see how we can help each other get to a better place in our relationships. All right. So 5 things that I want to talk to you guys about. The first thing I want to talk to you guys about as far as improving your marriages, 5 things that will help transform your marriage starting today, and especially since the beginning of the year. I want to encourage you guys, married couples out there, to proactively date, to make sure you carve out some time to date your spouse. I have a model about dating, and it's not a popular model, but I will share it with you. Okay. I will, and again, like, you guys are going to be like, Andre, you're out of your mind. Some people may think that, but when you listen to me, you'll understand. How many people have been married for years, right? But when they dated, they were going out, they were doing things, they were, traveling and going to nice dinners, and they were dating and they were having fun. But when they get married, all that stuff dissipates, right? Or how about this? We've spent and invested an astronomical amount of money into dating somebody, right? That's not even going to be our spouse. And this is more for the men. That's not going to be our spouse. But then when we do find our spouse and we date them, we spend money. Then when we get married, we don't date anymore. We don't go out anymore. See, that caused me to think about how backwards relationships are. In the very beginning of a relationship, we go all out. We spend our money. We try to make a good impression. But once we find out that this person is committed to us, dedicated to us, and we don't have to put out that much effort, we stop doing it. Then we get married. Then we don't go out on dates no more. Then we stay at home. We don't do anything. See, that caused me to think about dating in a different way, where um, um, I don't have to do this now, but like, let's say um, if I was to go out on a date, I'm not trying to make a first impression. I'm not taking you out to this fancy place in the very beginning. Um, I'm not trying to give some female I'm dating to get to know the treatment that I will be giving my wife when we get married, because sometimes we give our wives much less, who earned much more, much less than what we've given women that we just met for the first time. So, with that being said, couples who are looking to make a transformation in their marriage starting today have to proactively date. Make a decision to date, to go out, to enjoy each other, and not just spend time together, because spending time together isn't the problem. How many times we go home and we're in the same house together, but not doing anything quality wise? You have to make sure that you proactively date and create quality time with one another. Do that, do that, do that. Jeanette Murray Foster says, yep, that's where I'm at now. He doesn't do anything. We stay at home. And I bet you in the beginning, you guys are doing a lot. And that's my thing about marriage. Like, it becomes stagnant, and the marriage becomes complacent, and they know what happens. It becomes stale. You guys become glorified roommates, not doing anything together to keep that closeness and that excitement in the relationship. So proactively date, please. And this means that you're going to have to ditch the children with somebody who's responsible, of course. That means find somebody that's responsible. Hey, listen, I need you to watch our kids for a minute. We need some our time. We need us time. We need quality time. You have to proactively date. There is no reason why our wives, our husbands aren't getting the best of us, but when we go out on a date for the first time, we give that person the thing that we should be giving our spouse. You have to date. And this is one of those things that when couples start to do this again, they start to realize why they fell in love in the first place. And it helps keep that love going and going and going and going. And some of our men need to go out to be proactive in it. They need to say, listen, I know I did a lot of things in the beginning of our relationship that I don't do now. You know what? I need to do that again. I need to, babe, every single Friday night, we will save, or we would budget to have a babysitter for a couple of hours. And we're going to go out on a date. It may not even be an expensive date, but it'll be a quality date. Spend quality time with one another. That's one of the first things you can do to help transform your marriage today, January 1st, if that's your New Year's resolution. And if it's not, it should be. All right. Number two. Eddie says, Eddie says, and it don't have to be something expensive or out of town. Start with dinner and movies, baby steps, then weekend getaways. Very true, Eddie. I agree. Definitely agree. It doesn't have to be expensive. Again, you're trying to create opportunities to spend quality time with one another. And the amount of money you spend doesn't mean much. It means what you're doing together and spending time together. That's an important thing. But very, very good point, Eddie. Very good point. Next, increase communication. Now, some people say, well, communication is bad, and that's why a marriages suffer. Absolutely, but sometimes we get very vague. We talk about communication, and then we leave it at that. Like, he doesn't know how to communicate. She doesn't know how to communicate. We don't converse effectively, but then we don't talk about how we can do what we can do to make that better, to improve it. Jeanette writes, "Yep, we used to date a lot, and now I am always asking for date nights, and it never happens. Why does it stop on a man's point of view?" Again, it stops because of complacency, because somebody is comfortable, and it shouldn't be. You got to maintain that drive to spend time with one another. That's very important. So if you can talk to your husband and let your husband know, that you love him very much, but you want to be able to spend time with him, quality time, go out to eat, dating, things like that. Let him know that from your heart. And don't come up to him and say, "We don't do nothing no more. You ain't good for nothing." Blah, blah, blah. Nah, go to him with the approach that, babe, I feel like our marriage is becoming complacent. It's becoming stale. Like, we're just existing. Let's date again. Let's go out on dates. You got to stay chaseable too. Like I tell people, I heard this one couple say it, and I agree that the chase is important too. Like, we gotta We got to behave like we first behaved in the beginning of a relationship, when we were like passionate about one another. All right. But communication is very important. All right. One of the things you can do today to help increase and improve the communication in your marriage is to start talking about everything. Everything. It doesn't matter what it is. Just talk about it. And talk about your finances. Talk about threats to your marriage. Talk about doubts, feelings, children, and family. Talk about everything. And let me break those things down for you. Okay. Finances is a very sore point in a lot of marriages that are struggling. And a big part of the problem with finances is communication. That's sort of like the umbrella problem. Finances is sort of like the results of miscommunication. We don't spend effectively or properly because we're not communicating about our finances properly. You have to talk about your finances. You have to plan. You have to do what you can to improve your finances, because sometimes we think about the here and now. We also have to think about the future, retirement, things like that. Finances. We want to be able to go out on a date or travel somewhere. So let's plan this out. Let's just not spend without a plan. Let's talk about what we want to spend. Let's talk about building and growing our finances so that we can have a better life together. Talk about your finances. Talk about what you need to do. Talk about and even if one of you guys are stronger in the financial area, allow that person who's stronger to take the lead in that area. Some may say, well, the man should take the lead. Some men are financially stupid, just like some women are financially stupid. The person that's the whole thing about a partnership. When you're communicating, it doesn't matter who's taking the lead financially, because you're making the decision together regardless. Some people may be better with numbers, and that person who's better with numbers, budgeting, should be not controlling, but overseeing and leading the finances with strong communication about it. Next, talk about threats to the marriage. Talk about threats to the marriage. I heard a message one time. Somebody talked about jealousy. And they talked about how jealousy can help marriages stay intact. Jealousy is not necessarily a bad trait, especially if you use it properly. For instance, if I am obliviously talking to this female who is flirting with me and I don't catch it, my wife, I'm not married, but my wife, let's say, hypothetically speaking, my wife can catch that and say, Andre, be careful of her. It looks like she got eyes for you, like her. She got butterfly eyes for you. And I can come off with, man, you're always so jealous, man. Stop it. Or I can trust my wife's love for me and say, you know what? I'm going to keep an eye on that. Thanks, babe. Thank you for protecting us, and vice versa. The thing is, guys, when they get jealous, it's a little bit more like, another man's not stepping into my territory, because I'm going to beat my chest and I'm going to show you, who's a man in this situation. But in the flip side, a guy should be able to say the same thing. Babe, this guy, he's looking at you a little bit lustfully. Just keep your eye on him, all right? And her response should be, thank you, babe. Thank you for looking to protect us. I'm gonna keep that in mind. Thank you, babe. What's going on, Kitty? How you feeling, my brother? How's it going? All right. So threats to the marriage, those people who would be looking to take you away from your spouse, open up to your spouse about that. Let them know it. Let them know that this person is, trying to get a little bit too close to me. I have to put them in their place. This coworker, inappropriately said something about me, about my body part or whatever. I put him in his place. I just wanted to let you know, talk about those things. When you speak about it, and let your spouse know that there are no secrets. And if somebody is flirting with you, they feel safe enough and confident in you that you would put that person in their place. All right. Doubts in the marriage. What happens when we don't communicate our doubts? They grow and they become fears. And then we react on those fears. And then we look to run away from those fears. And then we run away from our marriages, and then our marriages fall apart. If you have a doubt about something, if you feel like your husband or your wife doesn't love you anymore, or if you were dating at one point and you need that in your life, and you feel like your husband or your wife doesn't love you because they don't want to spend time with you anymore, you have to communicate those things. The problem is your spouse may feel offended by that. They may get their defenses will increase, and they don't want to hear what you have to say. They just think, here, there's something wrong with me, but it's not. It shouldn't be the case. But sometimes that happens when you share your feelings, and then that's where we have to talk about defensiveness, and we will talk about that in a second. That's number 3. But talk about your feelings. Talk about your children, family. Don't let your children cross one another. I'm not married, but I do have a co-teacher who's a female, right? And I kid you not, like, we have 29 of the most beautiful children in our classroom. We know what some of them do? They try to split us, especially when it's time to go to the bathroom or leave the classroom for some reason, either for water or whatever. So what happens is they come to I'm like the nice dad. Like, the kids just come to me for everything, thinking I'm going to say yes. Right? Sometimes it doesn't always happen. But my co-teacher is very nice too. By the way, she got me this here. This guy is an awesome dad. Let me take a sip of my tea. 1 second. Green tea with ginger, honey, lemon, and 2 hulls dissolving in the hot water. Can't beat it. Can't beat it. So we'll have students come up to us, one of us, and say, "Hi, Mr. Harrison, is it okay if I go to the bathroom?" I'll say, "Well, you just went to the bathroom like 20 minutes ago. So no, you cannot." But then they'll go to her right after and say, "Hi, Miss Masurza, can I go to the bathroom?" And if she doesn't know that I said no, then she may let the student go out. And we have a decent rapport with one another, where we'll communicate with one another about that. In fact, we may even have students in the classroom who are friends. One may ask me to go to the bathroom. The other one's going to ask Miss Masurza to go to the bathroom, and they're roaming the halls together. That's when we're like, no, that's not going to happen here. Okay? You go to the bathroom first, and then your friend will go after, because we try to keep our communication up to par in our classroom. And marriages have to be the same way, especially when it comes to the children. Children, I don't know, they don't mean to cause dissension between husbands and wives, between parents, but children want to have their way. And if they could have their way by splitting parents who aren't communicating well, they're going to do that, not realizing the repercussion. And that repercussion is it's going to cause a strain on the marriage. So make sure you guys communicate about everything. If you allowed your daughter or your son to go out somewhere, text. And that's the beautiful thing about technology today. All you have to do is text your husband or your wife and say, "Hey, I let so-and-so go to somebody's house." Or, "Hey, is it okay if somebody, if our child goes to somebody's house because they asked me, I'm not sure if they asked you first, so let's talk about it." Communicate those things. Communicate about their grades. Try not to keep any secrets between your spouse when it comes to the kids. So keep that communication going. Third thing, so we talked about proactively dating, spending quality time with one another. We talked about increasing communication. All right, things that we can do to increase communication. The third thing that you can do today to help transform your marriage, starting today, especially for the new year, is to lose your defensiveness. Lose your defensiveness. That means that you're going to have to be vulnerable to your spouse. I know it's not easy. It's not easy, especially if there's past hurts there. This is why marriage counseling and marriage coaching is helpful. And if you ever need help with that, you can shoot me an inbox and we can talk about how we can help each other get to where we want to be, in a relationship. But marriage counseling helps with stuff like this, especially for past hurts. We don't talk about our feelings. We build walls, which we're going to talk about in a second. We become defensive. My wife can come to me and say, "You never do anything around the house." What's right? She's probably right. I probably don't do anything around the house. But then we become defensive. Like, I become defensive and say, "What are you talking about? Man, get out of here. I don't want to hear this nonsense. Always nagging, always, complaining about something, blah, 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 blah." We become defensive. Instead of thinking about, okay, even if I'm offended at that statement, I become defensive, maybe I could just stop for a second and think, maybe they're right. Maybe they're right. I probably don't do enough around the house, and it would be helpful if I do that. So let me not be defensive, especially for the sake of my marriage. But one of the things that you have to do to help break the defensiveness is to trust your spouse. You got to develop trust in your spouse, because if they're telling you something, it's probably for a good reason, especially if you have that trusting relationship. And this can be built. This can be developed. Stop being so defensive. Stop being so soft when it comes to your emotions in your marriage. Allow your spouse to speak into you. Allow your wife to tell you what you need to hear. Allow your husbands to tell you what you need to hear. All right. The thing is, if we become less defensive in our relationships become stronger. They become stronger. So lose the defensiveness. Next, increase the passion. Increase the passion starting today. That's number 4. You got to increase your passion. We get married. We get complacent. We think we're safe. Hey, Latoya, what's going on, Latoya? Miss you, sis. So increase the passion. You have to look for ways that you guys can renew the passion in your marriages. One concept I appreciate and I love is the love bank, making deposits into the love bank, making deposits. Again, technology helps with this also. Shooting a text to your spouse. Hey, babe, thinking about you. Can't wait to see you later. Lunchtime. Hey, babe, what are you doing for lunch? Let's get together. Increasing that passion, doing things that you guys like to do to keep your marriage vibrant, exciting. And it doesn't matter how old you are. I saw this video and I loved it, of this old couple, gray hair and all. He was sitting in like a bar stool, and his lady was his wife was right on him, and they're loving on each other, and he's like rubbing her butt, like it's like he's got to be like in his 80s, and he's just like, palming her butt. Now, this is your spouse, please, by all means, do you. But you got to keep your passion in your marriage, like just you got to be able to look at your spouse and be like, when your wife is washing the dishes or your husband's washing the dishes, go behind them and give them a nice kiss on the neck, on the back of the neck. Guys, if your wife is doing the dishes and you just go behind her, get real close, right, and just kiss her like right here and just walk away, you're probably going to have a good night. I'm just saying, you're probably going to have a good night. Small things like that help increase passion in a relationship, or helps the passion to never die. That's one of the things that people that's been married for a long time struggle with, and that's renewing the passion. When you renew the passion, you have to know that you're doing it. You got to be proactive in it, because when we get comfortable, it's hard to break out of bad habits. And we create bad habits by getting comfortable. Even not doing something in a marriage is a bad habit. So look for ways to increase the passion, to show love passionately, hold hands, appropriately kiss in public, enjoy the bedroom, increase the passion in your marriages. All right. And 5th, celebrate your marriage all the time by appreciating your spouse. There's a man that I know, a man and a woman, Mike Peace and his wife, Julia, in Rochester, New York. I respect this man so much because he has a pin of him and his wife that he wears everywhere. He is proud of his marriage. He's proud of his wife. And he celebrates his marriage every opportunity he gets, even when she's not around. Celebrates the marriage. She knows that he appreciates her. There's no question. Everybody knows that he appreciates her. There's no question. He wears her literally around like a badge on his chest, literally with the pin, because he appreciates that woman so much. How much do you appreciate your spouse? Are you willing to celebrate your marriage and your spouse by celebrating your marriage everywhere you go? Wearing your wedding ring proudly, letting people know that I'm not taken. All right, I'm in a marriage. I'm in a relationship, and we're together, TWO, together in this no matter what. Celebrate your marriages. Many of the walls developed through hurt can be broken down just by showing appreciation. Happy New Year's, Ms. Turner. Thank you very much. Happy New Year. So we've developed, some of us have developed walls in our marriages, and appreciating our spouse will help those walls break down. Let me give you an example. Let me just give you let me play this out for you, right? A marriage that has become cold, stagnant, stale, for like 7 years, right? And the husband finally says, I I can't live like this anymore. I can't do this anymore, right? We don't talk to each other. We don't speak. We have these invisible walls up, and it needs to get broken down. One of the things that this man can do is say, um, I haven't told you this in a long time, but I appreciate what you do with the kids, because if it wasn't for you being the way you are with our kids wouldn't be doing good in school. Or I appreciate that you pick them up from school and bring them home. I love that about you. Thank you so much. Just showing appreciation. Kevin puts his wedding ring on like a superpower. Yeah, man. And I bet your wife knows that, and she appreciates that about you. She feels safe. That helps break down walls in relationships. It helps tear down those walls. I appreciate that you do this to me. I appreciate you do this for me and our family. Showing appreciation helps celebrate the marriage. It really, really does. And also, many affairs happen because a spouse feels unappreciated and they go elsewhere for validation. One of the things that you can safeguard your marriage, one of the things you can do to help safeguard your marriage is to show appreciation to your spouse. Because if you're showing it to your spouse, they're less likely to look somewhere else for validation. Safeguard your marriages by showing appreciation to the people that you love, to your spouse, your husband, your wife. Let them know that they are the number one person in your life. That no matter where they go, you're going to love and appreciate them. No matter where you go, you're going to love and appreciate them. This helps safeguard your marriage against affairs, because your spouse should not go to anybody else for validation. And if you are flooding your spouse with affirmation, with encouragement, with appreciation, there's a better chance that they're not going to look for that elsewhere. Is it 100%? No, it's not 100%. But we're looking to reduce risk here and to try to make our marriages better. And these 5 things, if you apply them, it will help you guys out. Is this the complete answer? No. But doing these things will help put you in the right direction, especially as you start the new year. If you are in a struggling marriage and you don't know what to do, try some of these steps. If you're in a happy marriage and you just want to improve it, try some of these steps. I show and tell him I appreciate him, but he doesn't seem to register. It doesn't seem to register to him. Oh, and that, I know, Jeanette, that's very difficult. What I'll do is I'll hit you up. I'll shoot you an inbox about that to see what we can to talk to you about that. I know it's hard, and I can only imagine how you feel. Like whenever it's like giving a gift to somebody and seeing their reaction, and their reaction is like, oh wow, gee, thanks. It could be hurtful, and it could cause us who is giving appreciation to somebody who's not receiving it to build a wall up and say, I'm never going to do this again. But in your marriages, you still do it and don't give up. In your marriages, still do it and don't give up. And bring it to his attention. Bring it to his attention. Say, listen, I just gave you some appreciation and it felt like you threw it in the garbage, and it doesn't make me feel good. It doesn't make me feel good. Let him know how you feel in a nice way. Like don't come for his neck, because he's probably not going to receive it. Talk to him about how you feel. Again, this goes back to communication. You have to communicate how you feel. If you show your appreciation and he does not receive it well, let him know that the way he received it made you feel like you're not loved or not appreciated. All right. So 5 things you can do today to help transform your marriage starting today is to proactively date or spend quality time with one another. 2, increase communication. 3, lose your defensiveness. Okay. Start trusting your spouse. 4, increase the passion. That's intimacy. Okay. And 5, celebrate your marriage all the time by appreciating your spouse. So wear your spouse on your chest like a badge. Show off your ring every chance you get. And I just did the recap. So there's a slight delay in the comment. So Kevin, I just saw your, can I do a quick recap? So I just did it. Hopefully you can see it. So do those 5 things. This video is going to stay up for you guys to watch. Please like, share. And if you also want, you can listen to this probably starting tomorrow, this Thursday. Now, this was supposed to be aired last Thursday, but because I was in Florida and traveling back to New York that night, I decided to postpone it. So I postponed it to Sunday. Couldn't do it Sunday. And then I made it today. But this Thursday, we go back on schedule. This Thursday, 8 p.m. And this Thursday, let me see what we're going to be talking about. No, okay, so this Thursday, I'll tell you right now. This Thursday, we're going to be talking about. All right, let's go. Upcoming broadcast. Grace and forgiveness in marriage. Grace and forgiveness in marriage. This Thursday, 8 p.m., January 3rd. I want to thank everybody so much for watching, for communicating with me through this and chatting, because I really like to have this engagement and to talk with you guys through this. So I appreciate you guys so much for watching and joining in on the conversation. Okay. Lastly, somebody has a comment. I just want to read that. A marriage is a strong relationship that's a lot on both parties. I'm not married because I still haven't found the right person. Marriage is a big step. It's a huge step. Relationships is one of those things in society that drives society. We are all driven by relationships, whether it's an intimate relationship with our spouse, our children, coworkers, boss. Societies all over the world are driven by relationships. So relationship is a very important, and marriage is one of the most important relationships anyone can build. All right. So we're going to call this a night. Thank you guys so much for listening. If you're listening through the podcast, Two-Getherness podcast, if you're watching now and watching live through Facebook, YouTube, or Get Vocal, I appreciate you guys so much. Make sure you meet me on here this Thursday, January 3rd at 8 p.m. so we can talk about grace and forgiveness in marriage. I love you all. I appreciate you all. And hopefully I was a little bit of help to you and you all out there. All right. God bless you all. Have a good night and back to work tomorrow. All right. Peace.